How's it going, guys? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting, welcome back to Muv-Luv Monday, and welcome back to Photonmelodies, where we are inside, oh gosh, Adoration, I think it is? Yes, and you guys were exploding with this one. Apparently, a lot of you have been looking forward to this, because you all are very excited to see me jumping into it finally. So, we meet a very fun cast of characters so far. We have Twirly Mustache McGee. We got, like, okay, now I got it now, and especially because, like, I haven't seen it. But once you mentioned it, I realized from little screenshots I have seen the Code Geass, like, kind of posing and reference, most likely references for this character, but just in general, that kind of stuff. So it's been fun. I'm really sad because I haven't watched Code Geass yet. It's on my list of stuff to watch, but like my list of visual novels to play, like that list is long, extensive, and taking forever to complete, especially because I keep up to date with new stuff too, so... I don't know. I'll probably bump it up the list a little further, but as of now, I'm probably gonna have all the references go right over my head. I'm gonna move this microphone a little over. Hello. So, what are we gonna do today? I have no earthly idea, but we're walking and it's loud. But we're going with Ilfriede. So the other thing too is, like, someone mentioned how it's funny listening to me saying German. Yes, I'm so bad with any language at all. I mean, remember, I have my little playlist of how I slaughter Japanese words, and I'm only kind of getting better at that due to practice. And I went through the same thing with Fata Morgana with all the French words, and so now we're going to be jumping into it with German. So I apologize for anyone who can read German in any way. It's going to be absolute atrocity what I'm about to do to your beautiful language. I'm so sorry. I'll gladly take any insights you wish to offer to me, but frankly, in the moment when I'm reading as well, I'm probably I'm gonna struggle remembering the stuff you say, so it might be better just to, like, brace yourself. But without further ado, I think we'll have to jump into the tour of the base and see how things go with our new squad, who are every bit as hilarious as you could expect. It's actually kind of amazing because, you know, Alternative is such a depressing, oppressive story. To have such a cast of, like, lovable, dynamic characters is actually really refreshing. So anyway, so she says, the vast Dover complex was built along the Strait of Dover. All European nations and armies under the command of the United Nations forces have been assigned their own areas to defend.
今日の予定に従い、私たち西ドイツ軍が駐留するドーバー城地下要塞を時間の許す限りご案内しますわ。
Okay. Gosh, she's cute.
あなたの同期生たちも今頃各国の駐留基地で見学をしている頃でしょうね。
Someone said that Ilfriede is the first Muv-Luv Saberface, and, like, I'm not 100% sure on that, and maybe it's more akin to the Saberface in the visual novel, but it still is, like, God, that uniform cannot be that tight. Like, there's no way a uniform that's button-based would be that sheer. I am sorry, but what? It's beautiful, though. We'll say that. Must be going through similar times. Yes, probably.
まずは格納庫に参りましょうか。兵士候補生ですものね。真っ先に戦術機をご覧になりたいでしょ。
That does sound fun. Ah, yes, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Can't quite catch the right time to interrupt her one-sided conversation. It's not a conversation, she's giving you a tour. I'm moving the microphone, super professional here, but it's blocking my view, and I didn't realize it would do that until we started, so about that. Anyway, Lieutenant Fjolner doesn't stop talking about the base. Maybe she's trying to keep me from getting bored? However, I can't help but think about my crime. The longer it takes for the facts to come out, the more unforgiving the authorities will be when the truth finally comes to light. I'm the only one at fault here, thus it's my responsibility to prevent Lieutenant Fjolner from being dragged down with me at all costs. What puzzles me is that the lieutenant has said nothing about our transgression, nothing at all. Should I take her action as an indication she intends to conceal our crime? That she will act as my willing accomplice? No! What self-sacrificing dedication! I've heard the surface pilots of the Cerberus Battalion are descendants of German nobility. In other words, she only follows the creed. Noblesse oblige. I'm hesitant to remind someone of as chivalrous as Lieutenant of our ill-fated first meeting, but I can't let myself be swayed by her kindness. What if she isn't the one you met? What if she has a twin? That could be an interesting twist. As my seventh eldest brother, well, look at that name, Masashiro. Wow, that's a mouthful. is fond of saying, do your duty as you see it, and damn the consequences. As duty demands, I confess, as I would like to give into temptation, let my crime be lost to the ages. That said, were I to bring up the topic out of nowhere, it would seem as if I am dismissing her goodwill, and I cannot possibly be that rude. Alright, let's steer the conversation in that direction, slowly, but naturally. Excuse me, Lieutenant. This is probably... You know, I was going to say he's probably going to bumble this, but he's actually been quite articulate. In his mind, he's a crazy guy, but in actual conversation, he actually seems pretty polite, straightforward, and succinct. About earlier. It is to my shame, but I have to admit I was startled.
無理もございませんわ。私も最初は戸惑いましたもの。
Well, I guess she didn't expect to meet me there either. No, I can't say you look the slightest bit phased. The lieutenant's ability to react to the unexpected in such a swift and remarkable way must have been forged in actual combat.
胆力だなんて大げさですわ。私たちはもうすっかり慣れてしまっていますもの。
Okay, how so? We have simply grown accustomed to such things? What is that even supposed to mean? Is it normal for troops to be reunited with trespassers? Because that would imply Cerberus has some serious issues with security.
でも誤解なさらないで。ああ見えて、タイは大変ご立派な方ですのよ。
Oh,
人としても英士としても。
that
心から尊敬申し上げておりますわ。
that's a reasonable, misinterpretation. Woman, that's not what I'm talking about at all. Well, the captain sure is... No, sorry. What I meant to say is that it's delightfully eccentric, but...
はい。
I would like to talk about what happened at the track.
まあ、そのことでしたの。嫌ですわ、私。すっかりタイのことだとばかり。
Sorry. Excuse me. Went down the wrong tube. Leaving the captain aside, I was quite surprised when I saw you in the briefing room. Who could have imagined we'd meet again and so soon?
そうですわね。私もまさかあなたがあそこにいるとは思いませんでしたもの。
Oh man, this meeting is dripping with fate, isn't it? About that, I actually wanted to ask you.
おい、イルフリーデ。そいつか？例の研修生ってのは。
Oh, hello, you. Why do you look familiar for some... I must be saying things, but he kind of looks familiar. Just who is that rude man? And right after I finally found a way to broach the subject, one could argue it's a blessing in disguise that I haven't had a chance to ask her yet.
何かご用かしら。お急ぎでなければ後にしてくださる？
Ooh, there's some tension.
後にしてくださる？どうしたんだお前。
Yeah, I've got some real 4 degrees Celsius vibes from you, buddy. The way he talks is quite crude. It seems he's bothering Lieutenant Faulkner as well. Hold on. What's out of his shoulder? Do my eyes deceive me, or is that the crest of the triple-headed hound? Could this man possibly be a Cerberus pilot from the Cerberus Battalion? Sir, I'm Seijurou Makabe, a second lieutenant from the Imperial Royal Guard Cerberus Pilot Academy. It will be for less than 2 weeks, but I thank you for your hospitality. I am in your debt.
おお、初々しいね。いいよお前。すげえいい。
Oh, I don't like you already.
ブラウア少尉。いかに相手が士官候補生とはいえ、その態度は無礼に過ぎますわ。
おいおい、イルフリーデ。さっきから何の冗談だそりゃ。新手の殺人技でも試してるのかよ。
Brar. Second Lieutenant Brar. What? God. I feel like I should know that name. I'm probably just going crazy, but it seems familiar.
まあ怖い。殺人技ですって。それにしても、先ほどから少尉のおっしゃっている意味がよくわかりませんわ。
なんだそりゃ。笑い殺す気かよ。
何をうるさいわね。邪魔しないで。いただけますかしら、ブラウア少尉。
What was that?
もうやめてくれ。呼吸できない。
Can you stop vibrating? It makes me uncomfortable. Lieutenant Faulkner's tone was rather aggressive just now.
私の話はもう結構ですから、まずあなたの比例を何とかなさい。
Perhaps my rudimentary understanding of the English language is at fault, and I simply misheard Lieutenant Faulkner. Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what happened. Sure, buddy, sure. Heavens, I don't know whether this vulgar man came from, but the lieutenant cannot possibly be that rude.
来てってほらほらお前が面白すぎて候補生君も呆れてるみたいだぜ。
Right. It's you and your rudeness I'm shocked about.
ブラウア少尉、いい加減名乗ったらいかがかしら。
はいはい、ただいま。俺はウォルフガング・ブラウアーだ。よろしくな。
Uh-huh. Yes, likewise. This man hardly seems like a knight. Not only is he utterly lacking in class, but the way he acts in front of a woman is unpardonable. Frankly, I'm hard-pressed to believe someone like him belongs to Cerberus Battalion. As my 8th eldest brother, how many does he have? Kihachiro always says, you fight the beta with your army that you have, not the army that you might wish you had. The same logic applies here. His character flaws notwithstanding, I must find a way to get along with Lieutenant Brar. I'm a true samurai. So no matter who I'm talking to, I must show them proper respect regardless of how they behave. I must show him how the men of the Makaba family carry themselves.
おい、こいつ固まってるみたいだけど、大丈夫か？
原因はあなたに決まっていますわ。
Dear? Maybe they're actually a thing. I'm sorry, I'm perfectly fine.
ではブラウア少尉、私たちは先を急ぎますのでごきげんよう。
I don't know why she said dear. Maybe this is an odd translation choice, like a familiar term, but like she also is very dismissive of him.
おい候補生、今のうちに頼んでおくぜ。こいつの印象だけで俺らのイメージを固めないでくれよ。
Uh-huh. Could you please elaborate, Lieutenant?
言葉通りの意味だよ。
She's not happy.
じゃあな、イルフリーデのおもり頼んだぜ。
One moment, Lieutenant Brar. There's something I need to ask you.
なんだ？言って。
If I understand this correctly, are you telling me not to judge Cerberus based on the impressions I got from Lieutenant Faulkner? Correct.
ああ、そうだよ。それ。
Oh, sorry, I interrupted him. With all due respect, if there's one person I should not use as a standard for comparison, it's the lieutenant himself.
おお、かっこいいなお前。イルフリーデのナイトってやつか？
That was pretty straightforward of him, isn't it? I appreciate the compliment, but rather than a knight, I consider myself a samurai.
それって侍ってやつだろ？日本じゃ侍だからか弱い女を守るってスタイルなのか？
Holy crap. Gender is of no importance, both as a cadet and of the Imperial Royal Guard and as someone who carries the blood of the Makaba military lineage. I cannot condone discourteous behavior, even if it comes from a superior officer.
へえ。この絵に武家の血。
Yeah, I don't like you. You suck. Do you mock the royal god in the house of Makaba?
俺は武士も侍もバカにする気はねえよ。そんなに怖い顔すんなって。
You're lucky.
小僧。
If you were May and had a sword like her, you'd probably be dead. Kiddo? It is truly vexing to be called a kid by a man of your caliber.
およしなさい、真壁候補生。相手は仮にも上官ですよ。少尉ももういいでしょう。
Yeah, this isn't going good. Yes, ma'am. My apologies.
いやいや、この小僧は俺が出した指示の確認をしてるだけだぜ。何の問題もないだろ。
Oh, that's a relief. Again, he calls me about a stupid nickname. Not only that, but he dares to pretend everything is fine. The hypocrite.
なあ小僧、一つ聞いていいか？
Oh boy. What is it?
侍ってのは生まれつきなれるもんなのか？
He's kind of got a point there. It's like, is it family? Is it training? Is it both? Is it neither? Like, can you become a samurai via training, or do you have to be noble lineage? Huh? Of course it's not that simple. Does he not understand something so elemental despite being a knight himself? His ignorance is appalling, but duty compels me to teach him. A samurai is not something you become, but rather something you strive to be. It's not merely a title, it's a way of life. One that demands you continue to temper your heart and soul with the utmost discipline for as long as you live.
そうかい。なら安心したぜ。真壁とかいう仮名があれば、自動的に侍だってんなら、犬でもなれるもんな。
Oh boy. What? This is an outrage! Lieutenant, you're way too close, and why are you grabbing my hand?
さあ、おバカさんは放っておいて、私たちはもう行きましょうね。
His heart is gonna explode! Okay.
小僧、また遊ぼうな。
Sure, buddy. Over my dead body! That heartbeat, man. It's anxious. I'm gonna be. Oh, it's making me anxious.
ごめんなさいね。不愉快な思いをさせてしまって。そんなに息を切らせて。大丈夫ですか?
Yes. No. I mean yes. It's too close, Lieutenant Fulner. Too close. Still holding my hand? Emergency withdrawal! Oh, look at that animation! It's not. Oh, that's sweet. That was dangerous. I almost went on to the other side even before I actually stood on the battlefield. He's gonna die.
そのような状態でいきなり飛び跳ねたりして。大丈夫ですか、真壁候補生?
This is bad. My heart won't hold out if she continues to harass me like that. Lieutenant, I'm not quite sure how to say this, but I really need to use the restroom. By pretending that I want to go to the lavatory, acting as if I'm responding to the natural interval of my bowel movements, I can earn some time to suppress these implicit palpitations.
まあ、気が回らずごめんなさい。一番近いのはその突き当たりを右に行ったところ。
I'm gonna start sweating here if we don't get this music off and the heartbeats. Understood. I'll be quick.
お待ちなさい。
Huh?
ここは最前線とはいえ、あらゆる施設に男女の区分がありますから気をつけて。
Oh boy.
上向きのアローをサークルで囲んでいるものが男性用、クロスをサークルで囲んだものが女性用ですわ。
Right. The standard male and female symbols are used across the United Nations. Good, there's no way I'll make a mistake. I appreciate the warning. I'll be right back. I don't know if you heard the first part, though. It's like doing the super dramatic music. It's like, and now eat another chip. Death Note style, using my right hand. I dispose of the toilet paper by throwing it into the right into the bowl. With my left, I turn the flush handle, the water starts to flow. Dun 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 dun. This might be the best thing ever. Due to the stress from my long journey, my stomach isn't in the best condition. I ended up having to flush several times. Although I was trying to buy as much time as possible, this is not quite what I had in mind. As it turns out, I really did have an upset stomach. Nevertheless, the end result is I didn't have to lie. All just according to plan. I think it's about time I head back. My palpitations have subsided, and I can't have the dear lieutenant wait for me any longer. This time, I have a plan. I will be upfront with her. Conciseness is a must. I can't let our conversation get derailed by another misunderstanding. Further interruptions will not be tolerated. He doesn't do anything halfway, does he?
真壁候補生?
Ha! That's so cool, the animation. I use my momentum to dart forth and jump. I land, kneeling on the ground right in front of Lieutenant Faulkner. Now, Seijurou, while she's still dumbfounded. My deepest apologies, Lieutenant.
いきなりどうなさいましたの、真壁候補生?
My thoughtless actions have forced you to stain your hands, to violate military regulation.
軍規違反? 事情はよくわかりませんが、とにかく頭を上げてください。
Uh-huh. She feigns ignorance until the very end. This must be the spirit of chivalry at work. Oh dear. Oh no.
そのままでは普通にお話しすることもできませんわ。さあ、真壁候補生。
Yes, ma'am. I'll accept your kind offer.
これはどういうことなのか、最初からお話ししてくださるわね。
I like us playing this music, but it's not even that big of a deal. Oh, the tone is so janky. Of course, I shouldn't have assumed you're familiar with my perspective of the events. I meant by your chance when I accidentally wandered into a restricted area, but when we meet again, you act like nothing happened. That's what made me realize you're willingly covering my crime, despite knowing you're also violating military regulations by keeping silent.
それはその通りですわ。
I, Seijurou Makabe, am willing to atone for my sins by surrendering myself to the military police. However, I've chosen not to do so for the time being because I don't want the kind lieutenant to be involved in the fallout.
ああ、それは。
I implore you, please do not mention that you met me at the track. I apologize from the bottom of my heart. I know a little stuff was awfully rude of me, but I did so to prevent you from derailing the conversation.
ですから、それはそもそも。
To cling to your goodwill any further would be a sin. Honor compels me to face my punishment as a member of the Royal Guard, and as a Makabe, let justice be done though the heavens fall. But let me promise you this, Lieutenant. No harm will come your way. Indeed, no words would suffice to describe my wickedness were I to forsake such a gallant soul as yourself. Thus, I swear to you on my life and on the name...
落ち着きなさい、清十郎。私の話を聞いて。
Okay.
確かにこの西ドイツ軍エリア一帯は部外者立ち入り禁止だけど、あなたは我が隊の研修生なんだから、到着した時点で関係者なのよ。
I'm guessing in the technicalities she's not correct, but it would easily be overlooked as a tit for tat. Okay.
だから安心して。清十郎も私も軍機は何一つ犯してない。ね。
Yes. But Lieutenant, you said that there was a restricted area.
確かにトレイルランコースは立ち入り禁止だけど、それは騎馬修練所の保安基準だから、迷い込んだ人を裁くような法的強制力はないの。
Okay. So it's kind of like the rule of jaywalking, where it's like you're technically not supposed to cross without a crosswalk, but most officers wouldn't even enforce it unless it was causing problems of some kind. Just because, whilst it's not agreeable, it's more about personal safety, not so much about, like, communal safety. Then, why did you leave before we could introduce ourselves?
ごめんなさいね。あなたをちょっと脅かそうと思って。ほら、秘密を共有すれば親しくなりやすいって言うでしょ?
She is pretty adorable. Just surprised me. Does that mean you already knew who I am?
事前にもらった資料で写真は見ていたから。でも、清十郎があんなところにいるとは思わなかったから、驚いたのは本当なのよ。
Aww. Really? I never expected you to show up there of all places! That means she came up with the idea of surprising me only mere moments after we met, and she executed it flawlessly too, with no hesitation whatsoever. Yet, in spite of her cunning, she's not even showing an ounce of malice. Wait a minute. The lieutenant never said we didn't need to exchange names. She said we don't need to exchange them at this time. And yet, I don't get the Machiavellian mastermind vibe from her. Not in the least, though she was being misled. I'm sure it wasn't on purpose. Machiavellian is a great word. Great reference. I wonder if that's a translation or if that was actually in the original script, because mwah. Or rather, she must be a natural airhead, or maybe it would be better to call Lieutenant Faulkner an ingenuine, a free spirit who acts guided by her whims and flights of fancy. Assuming I'm right, predicting her next move is going to be a formidable task. I'm not confident I'll be able to follow her thought process. For some reason, I cannot help but feel vaguely uneasy at the thought of her being responsible for my care while I'm here. Hopefully, I'm just being paranoid.
とにかく、誤解だって分かったんだからよかったじゃない。細かいことはもう気にしないで、10日間楽しくやりましょう。
Don't sweat the small stuff, kid. My alarm bells are going off, Lieutenant! Also, is my imagination or her manner of speech going kind of familiar? Pardon me, Lieutenant.
ああ、もうダメダメ。どのとか、そういう堅苦しいのは偉い人たちの前だけでいいからね。
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Then, Lieutenant, are you usually this casual?
まあ、プライベートではね。でもこの舞台って社交界そのままだから、みんなの前では気が抜けなくて疲れちゃうのよ。
I like how they throw in dude. It tires me out so much. Like it's a subtle way the translator's telling us that she's using just like slang, you know, because that's a phrase that I use with friends.
でも、ウィルフリート様やジークリンデ様にはしたない振る舞いはお見せしたくないから仕方ないわ。
Okay. You don't say. Yeah, it's like what she was and what she is.
何かご用かしら？お急ぎでなければ後にしてくださる？
後にしてくださる？どうしたんだお前。
So she's normally kind of buddy with him. I get it. It's shattering. Goodbye, dream.
裏は少尉。いかに相手が士官候補生とはいえ、その態度は無礼に過ぎますわ。
She reminds me a lot of Marino.
おいおい、イルフリーデ。さっきから何の冗談だそりゃ。新手の殺人技でも試してるのかよ。
Right.
私の話はもう結構ですから、まずあなたの比例を何とかなさい。
ほらほら、お前が面白すぎて、候補生君も呆れてるみたいだぜ。
There it goes. Goodbye, dream.
おい候補生、今のうちに頼んでおくぜ。こいつの印象だけで、俺らのイメージを固めないでくれよ。
There, he's very, very right. I hate to admit it, but Lieutenant Brawler's warning was completely justified. Speaking of which, when I left the briefing room, I remember thinking First Lieutenant Wastronach. Oh, fetch, I'm not saying that right. And Captain Ralstein seemed rather concerned while talking to her. Surely it was because they knew of her true nature. Tragedy strikes. My image of Lieutenant Faulkner burst into pieces. Her did-see real self has broken my heart. You have to take the bad with the good. Like lightning, the teachings of my ninth eldest brother, Seijurou, flashed through my mind. Light cannot exist without darkness. To pretend a man lacks either one or the other only goes to show how much I have yet to learn about the ways of the world. Oh boy.
ほら、聖十郎。ぼーっとしてないで。いろいろ見せてあげるから、早く行きましょう。
The Lieutenant, there's no need to grab my arm. My arm? Oh, not that sound. My arm is touching her breast. Request immediate mandatory withdrawal. Memory withdrawal.
何硬くなってるのよ。ほら、早く。
You are not allowed to use that sound in an unserious moment. No! That alarm. Even in that setting, that alarm sends shivers up my spine. That's the EF-2000 Typhoon!
そうよ。あれが私たちの剣。欧州防衛の中核を担うタニム第三世代戦術機。
That's the one that we explored in, is it Rain Dancers was the one where it took place in Sicily? Ooh, it does look cool. You gotta admit, it looks cool. An apt description. It's as beautiful as a drawn blade, and yet upon closer inspection, it also resembles a knight's armor.
そうね。セルベルスの兵士たちにとって、鎧であり、馬でもある機体よ。
It is a beautiful TSF, actually. Takuma Kazuchi's still the best, and I think there are the Typhoons like loosely based off the design of the Takuma Kazuchi's. I've seen it in textbooks and other materials, but this machine is 1,000 times more impressive now that I'm looking at it in person. Just standing here, it gives me goosebumps. This is it. This is what I've been yearning for. This tingling sensation I feel from just looking at a TSF, it's the best part about being a surface pilot cadet. I can practically taste the fear it must instill. This massive weapon is ready to seed a trail of destruction. A mere picture doesn't do justice to its veritable work of art. Yes, this TSF is more than a mere weapon. No, its presence shines beyond such a simple purpose. When I first stepped into this enormous underground hangar, I was overwhelmed, frozen in place by its majestic aura. Exactly what a man who found himself at the mercy of Mother Nature would experience. But at the same time, this isn't the primal wilderness I'm facing. I'm looking at the crystallization of human wisdom, and I can't help but feel an exceptional sense of accomplishment. Yes, this is what mankind's intellect is capable of. Pride and fear, two polar opposite sensations, and yet I feel them at the same time. To think I would be shaken to my very core. How truly fascinating.
やっぱり聖十郎も兵士なのね。
It's too early to say, Lieutenant. I haven't been commissioned yet.
そういうことを言ってるんじゃないの。今のあなたの顔を見ればわかるって話よ。
Oh, what a blunder. I was so engrossed in admiring the Typhoon, I'm sure I must have looked like an idiot, slack-jawed, eyes open wide. Please forgive me for that unbecoming display. Surely my face must have looked disgraceful.
そんなことないわ。素敵な顔だったわよ。
Aww. What?
戦術機を見つめてああいう顔をするのは、兵士の矜持を胸に秘めたものだけよ。
Ooh. Is that so?
立派だわ、聖十郎。あなたはその年で、もう兵士としての心構えができているのね。
I'm worrying she's buttering him up. Thank you very much. I'm still in training, thus I'm not sure if I am worthy of your words, Lieutenant. But as a man who carries the legacy of House Makabe, I intend to live according to the way of the samurai. Why we fight, I can't say I have an answer since I have yet to see battle, but I know that someday I will. That's why I'm set on this path.
そうね。私もそうあり続けたい。
Captivating expression, dignified but gentle. A face that shows she has made her decision, that she's more than willing to make whatever sacrifices are necessary for the sake of her goals. And, if I must say, that's a striking pose right there. Again, like maybe it's the hair that's mostly reminding me of Marimo. Is this the true face of a person who knows what being a surface pilot is like? Even though I'm filled with determination, I cannot imagine myself having a deeper expression while looking at a Typhoon. What I lack in experience, most likely, the knowledge of what a true battle is like. Come to think of it, I wonder how much light combat experience the lieutenant actually has. She's a member of the renowned Cerberus battalion, so I imagine she's quite proficient in battle. I have to wonder, though, just how many times has she sortied? How did she fare? Is she gonna be like the coordinator or something? Perhaps I should ask her directly. It would do no good to let my imagination run rampant again. No, I'll get to know eventually. I shouldn't disturb her right now. To pester her with questions about her combat performance and the first day we meet, no less, would be terribly rude. Curious as I may be, there's a place and time for everything.
ごめんなさい。聖十郎の案内なのに私が見とれちゃって。
In the end, Lieutenant Faulkner is just a regular girl. I felt disappointed when I realized her real self was nothing like the aristocratic lady I believed her to be, but she bears no blame. I was the one who made that unfounded assumption about her character. That's enough to make it my fault alone. You don't need to apologize, Lieutenant. If I may play on your words, this only serves as proof of your unwavering dedication.
まあ、聖十郎ったら。嬉しいこと言ってくれちゃって。
He is pretty good with the tongue. That sounds weird. Oh gosh, why did I say it like that? He's good at talking, which I'm not used to in Muv-Luv. Takeru is not one for good words until like the really, really clinch moments. Ah! Lieutenant, you're too close!
嬉しいから大サービスよ。もっと近くで見せてあげる。
Oh gosh. Good heavens, what an indecent way to show your appreciation.
やだ、聖十郎。こんなに硬くなっちゃって。
Oh no. Step. No, not at all, not it.
ああ、わかった。整備中だからって遠慮してるのね。本当にお堅いんだから。
That's not what's going on here, Lieutenant.
ほらほら、早く行きましょう。
Oh gosh. Yeah, he's not gonna live. He's not gonna live through this.
ここは整備用ガントリーのコックピットレベルよ。
Ooh. Oh, yeah, it's like looking at it from this close, it really feels like a knight's armor. That looks so awesome. There's a shock valve protecting the main sensors located at the front of the head module. Together with those slit-like pair of auxiliary sensors, it totally looks like a helmet visor.
間近で見た台風の感想はいかが？
Beautiful. It's more imposing than I expected. I see. When I first saw it in the textbook, I thought the Typhoon resembled a Type 79 Fubuki with an extra layer of heavy armor on top, but now that I stand before my eyes, I think my impression was completely off. The Fubuki might be a sort of advanced trainer which can be used for combat if the need arises, but I get a completely different feel from this machine that's designed for the front lines. Its frame does look something similar to the Fubuki, but thanks to its sharp edges, the Typhoon in fact resembles a Type 00 Takemikazuchi much more closely. Yeah! Takemikazuchis, they're the best. Indeed, just as the graceful Takemikazuchi and its elegant blade of Japan, the very Typhoon represents the sturdy sword of the West. Interesting. That's an interesting like combination and like observation to make about it.
この子の特徴はね、中距離支援から密集近接格闘戦までを想定した機体仕様と長期進行を可能とする低燃費設計よ。
Oh, fuel efficiency, yes!
兵站が伸びきると予想される大陸奪還と補給がままならない背部攻略、そういう欧州連合の対ベータ戦略に基づいた運用を前提に開発されているの。
Interesting. It's funny. This is absolutely hardcore reminded me of one of my favorite mech games I've ever played, which was Armored Core 4, which allows you to have full customization of your mech as you unlock parts especially. I even remember the name that I gave it, the Caesar. Really I favored like a dark purple, kind of a royal purple color with gold trim. And I do remember specifically, I made it a mid-sized frame, but I gave it the biggest power core it could have, because whilst it made it really slow, like on its feet, like it was like walking speed was really slow, it could effectively glide across the ground with its boosters endlessly, making it really, really zippy on the battlefield itself, and it could fly vertically much better than anybody else, giving it then laser-based weaponry, which meant that since it draws from its, like the power cell, it was effectively had unlimited ammo, and I gave it a specifically long-range energy weapon that was really powerful, almost like a sniper rifle, but I wielded it like a mid-ranger with a high predicting computer system that was good at tracking trajectories and hitting enemies like on the move from a great distance, which I actually used to compensate my movement speed. It actually was the best mech out of me and my friends. We all played on similar accounts, so we had similar unlocked capabilities. But I found it was effective against everything they could throw at me, which meant that we shortly stopped playing the game because the Caesar was a little too good to, like, they just never really were able to come up with a counter for it. The only thing that got close was my best friend's design, where he made his very small and fast, but with a medium-sized core based similarly off my design, making him really, really hard to hit. But he was susceptible to carpet bomb munitions, like the missiles, which was a piece that I had, which would just like launch things up into the air and just kind of mortar an area. And no matter how much he dodged, it was just too much damage into his wide spread of an area, and all it took was 1 or 2 clips to slow him down, and then I was able to peg him. But I love mechs, and I love mech games in general, but I think a big part of it has to be customization. So that's kind of why I'm really excited about the Muv-Luv game coming out, the one with the mechs, because it seems like, while it might have a bit of a gacha system, it sounds like, I do love the concept of like being able to make a custom mech. And I think if I can't make a Takemikazuchi, I would love to try and recreate a Typhoon in that game, but we'll have to see how that all plays out, right? It's just nice to be able to geek out about mechs every once in a while.
固定武装が多いのはそれが理由。頭や肩の他にもスーパーカーボン製のブレードやエッジ装甲がたくさん装備されているわ。
Edged armor. So like, oh my gosh, so they actually filed down these like wing formations. I thought they were stabilizers, but she's implying that there's designed to make it so that this thing's like a veritable like weapon in all ways, like shouldering into a beta would actually be a viable tactic. That's really clever.
マルチロール機にこれだけの近接戦能力を求めたせいで、ジャンプユニットの指揮を含め開発は難航してかなり長期化してしまったの。
Yeah, I bet.
それに難癖をつけて途中で抜けたフランスが台風の真似をしてラファールっていうそっくりだけどちょっと下品な戦術機を作ったのよ。
Okay. The Typhoon is starting to sound like the Takemikazuchi more and more. However, they may follow a similar design philosophy, but that's it. There's not a single TSF in the world which is worthy of rival for the Takemikazuchi in terms of close quarters combat. I mean, you might be right. I kind of agree, but at the same time, we might have blinders on for the same reasons. We love the Takemikazuchi, and it looks awesome. So naturally, we're all going to be inclined to think better of it. Considering the Typhoon's capabilities for mid-range fire support, the closest match would be the Type 94 Shiranui, but our Takemikazuchi is free of such ambiguities. Our Takemikazuchi specializes in extended fighting operations against the beta. Its lightweight frame has been honed to absolute perfection, giving it not only superior maneuverability and dogfighting capabilities, but also an unbelievably long cruising range. See, I love that. That speaks to me. Yet, do not despair, Typhoon. The Takemikazuchi is exceptional, but of course you're a fine machine as well.
ほら、見て見て、聖十郎。メインアームのブレードなんてすごく特徴的じゃない？
Totally awesome.
さて、ここで問題です。
Yes, what is it? She's adorable. God, I keep saying it, like, look at her. She's adorable. Holy crap, they really pulled out all the stops in making this character design. All of a sudden, don't tell me the quizzes like this are part of my training. I know the answer if the topic were covered in my textbook, but should she ask about more technical matters, I might find myself in a bind.
近接専用の固定兵装として戦闘中の残弾調整にも弾薬が尽きた後の戦闘にも大変重宝するスーパーカーボンブレードですが
I hear a but there. Yes.
それ以外にも大変重要な機能があります。さて、その機能とは何のことでしょうか？
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna see if I can figure this out. Let's see, what was the backlog? Super Carbon Blade works wonders in close range. But it has another very important function. Oh, maybe I was right. Maybe it is actually about angular momentum, so that when it does jump and fly around, it actually they function as stabilizers. Which is good, except when your stabilizers are functional in combat, you have a risk of breaking them off, which means that then escaping a flight could be dangerous. But at the same time, we've seen that there are TSFs that don't have such stabilizers, so perhaps it's just an added bonus that makes it more cost-efficient fuel-wise over long journeys. Wait, that's it? All this build-up for such a simple question. That's somewhat disappointing, but on the bright side, I should be able to answer this one with ease. The fixed armament blade's secondary function is to provide aerodynamic assistance for the TSF. Oh, snap! This reduces the propellant consumption of the machine while performing high-speed actions during close quarters engagements. She's like, dang it, you nerd. Huh? Did I get it wrong? Lieutenant Fulner?
まあすごい聖十郎ったらすごすぎるわ
Oh. And like I suppose like she's gonna come give him a hug. He's just like, back off! No! I don't know. Are we gonna be able to see a begone thought? Huh? Begone thought!
どうして逃げるのよ聖十郎
He's the thought slayer himself! And why must you persist in doing so, Lieutenant?
ご褒美よすごくよくできたから
There's too much of a difference in stature. I must respectfully decline. That was dangerous. If I had stepped aside even a second too late, my face would have been pressed against her prestigious chest. The lieutenant's plump bosom, her arms wrapping around me. Control yourself, Seijurou. Don't even dare think of such impure and disrespectful thoughts. It's too soon for a love affair. I don't need this frivolous bliss of youth. Please just let my tribulations end. Yes. Alright, worldly desire successfully brought under control. Anyway, I've heard Westerners embrace each other to give a kiss on the cheek or a simple greeting, but physical contact this intimate has to be abnormal even by their standards. Right you are, good sir. She's definitely very, very, very flirty, but that's the thing is I don't know if she sees it as flirtatiousness. Some people are just overly friendly like that. Some people are flirtatious as a means of just communication. I knew somebody like that in high school, like who kind of effectively toyed with people's hearts, but it was more because that's just how she interacted with people. It really wasn't about like actually like drawing them in per se.
それにしても本当にすごいわ聖十郎は戦術機博士ねまるでルナだわ
Is that supposed to make me happy? I'm no doctor. I'm a surface pilot. What even is a doctor in TSF engineering, and who is this Luna?
そんなことまで知っているなんて相当勉強してきたのね偉いわ聖十郎
Totes awesome. Ugh. No, not particularly. Japanese TSFs utilize similar principles of flight control. I'm no stranger to aerodynamic control assistance used in fixed armament blades.
まあそうだったの遥か極東にある日本の戦術機も空力制御これはとても偶然なんて思えないわもしかして真似した
You got that reversed! Oh no. Oh, look at that. I think she might know that. She knows. She must know. Look at that. Look at that. Just that sly, like, what's this? It's not a smirk. What's the phrasing for that? It's like, she knows. I can't ignore her words. Belittling the peerless ingenuity of the Empire, insinuating that we were the ones copying their TSF designs. This won't do. This won't do at all. This is a proxy war in which the prestige of Japan and Germany hang in the balance, so to speak. Thus honor demands I respond, and respond I shall. Not to split hairs, Lieutenant, but it is undeniable fact that the Empire deployed the third-generation machine in 1994 ahead of the rest of the world.
なんですって
If the question is whether someone has committed plagiarism, the answer would be unequivocally yes. However, the guilty party is the European Union. The circumstantial evidence alone is damning. Their TSFs share many similarities to the Empire's, and they all finished development at a later date.
まあそうだったの日本の戦術機ってすごいのね
She's just like, she's not part of the proxy war, though there is a proxy war there. Talk about anticlimactic.
でもそれはそれで残念といえば残念ね
Why? You feel bad for me. Why is that?
せっかくはるばる遠くから視察に来たのだからどうせなら普段と違う特性の機体や運用方法を見ておきたかったんじゃない
I'm speechless. Does she know nothing about the situation of surface pilots outside of Bunthwear? Way here. God, I can't say that. Thinking about it, it's very likely she doesn't. As Lieutenant Faulkner demonstrated just now, she has no knowledge of the characteristics of Japanese TSFs nor of the Imperial Army's tactical doctrines. But wait, just 1 second. Ignorance of this decree should be impossible. Uniform TSF standards have been adopted worldwide, which means all TSFs should operate in a somewhat similar way. Thus, every single training curriculum out there should follow the same guidelines. Keyword should. The history of TSF development worldwide is something every service pilot has to study, and a crucial part of that course of learning is how different strategic cultures have influenced TSF designs. So I can't help but wonder, what in blazes is going on here? Is she probing my reactions by pretending to be too blonde? Excuse me, Lieutenant, but don't you know? The reason why the program sends cadets to Europe instead of to the United States is because we share similar beta counter strategies and TSF design philosophies. I have an unpleasant presentiment. I'll adjust my center of gravity just in case. What? What was the sound coming from the back of her throat? I apologize for asking this, but is something the matter? Right, okay, sure. After all that build-up... Lieutenant, this is an official visit. My stay here isn't supposed to be entertaining, but educational, so I don't believe that's a problem. Oh no. What? Oh wait, she's not going to do anything beyond putting her hands on my shoulders. What an unpredictable move by Lieutenant Faulkner. Can't let my guard down around her, not even for a second. I mean, she does have a point here. Okay. She's also got a point there. Also good. So when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I'm guessing they used a different cultural phrase, like a Japanese version of a similar lesson, but obviously it would be very different. I'm guessing. I don't know. Maybe they'd say like when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. But if you know what parable she refers to there, I'd love to hear like what she said and like kind of like how it's supposed to relate culturally. But that's one of those things that like doesn't translate well anyway. So you might not even be able to translate it. But either way, it'd be kind of nice to hear it if you happen to know it. That was the fancy way? I see. That must be how she learned about the ways of knighthood and nobility. Ironically enough, it seems that she's unable to grasp the essence of her father's complex teachings. Could she be trying to give me a lesson on something she herself doesn't really understand? Or maybe this is yet another test. Just to clarify, this is a lesson about the mindset people with responsibility should have when learning, correct? Yeah, she doesn't even know. Sweat. Your father's teachings penetrated my heart, but I can't quite see how they relate to the lieutenant's comment from earlier, thus I remain bewildered. Let me put it in simple terms. I'm having a hard time understanding how your words about enjoying things in order to learn relate to your remarks about my attitude being boring. I mean, that's fair. So only if I have fun doing the process will I truly get it? I mean, I think she actually has a point there for sure, that like being able to find enjoyment in things, or it's about like that helps, I think, make it part of you, make it more memorable. For instance, like that's why when you have to memorize lots of facts and tables, like doing it to a song is a really helpful way to memorize things, because it takes something that is boring and boorish and complicated and puts it to a tune which is memorable and fun, and that helps it stick a lot better. Like, I still remember a song I learned in like 5th grade about the various types of rock and what they are, and like that information, even though the song is stupid and annoying, is like ingrained in my brain, and I'll never forget it. This is too vague. I can't quite grasp the idea. Maybe I should try to phrase my thoughts in a more concrete term. Nonetheless, I'm stuck.
引っかかる?
Well, when you're in a position where you must first acquire the knowledge you need to discharge your duty, wasting time because you want to experience the fun seems highly irresponsible to me.
無責任.
In a state of emergency, you can't put your own enjoyment first. No, you need to learn the basics quickly and then grow proficient enough to short amount of time. Rote learning is the most efficient method, even though it's not the least bit fun. Besides, there's quite a bit you can learn from situations you're used to. What really matters is your mindset, that you're acting for the sake of a higher purpose, and not merely out of a sense of obligation. Oh, there she goes again. Did Lieutenant Faulkner look like she's about to cry? Did I overstate my case a little? No, she's about to fall asleep.
とても立派よ、聖十郎.
Wait, what's happening? Her melon's glued to my face, can't breathe!
その年でそこまでの覚悟。本当にあなたは立派だわ。
So wait, if she gives him a hug and his face is being smushed there, so he must be kind of short. The indignity of a samurai of the empire. How dare she lay her hands on my head like that? I can't breathe!
あなたのような研修生を迎えられることは、私たちセルベルスの誇りだわ。
Simultaneous translation. I'm suffocating. Wait, what's simultaneous translation? Is that Seijurou over there? Seijurou, my dear eldest brother, wait for me. Aw, so he died, huh?
ドーバーコンプレックスは英仏海峡を睨むグレートブリテン島南端沿いに建設された複数の軍事拠点や基地を地下でつないだ要塞線の総称よ。
Oh wow, look at that. So like those are like breaks that are probably, yeah, it's like a switchback, almost like it's like a future hedge maze design. Look at that, like those walls. I imagine that those are intended to allow passage of boats, but also create kind of a kill zone at the same time. So Beta, who are coming from like across the bottom of the water towards like the land, would be funneled into these various key channels where they have a direct route where the boats are, but they might even be able to close that. And then the rest are these kind of switchbacks that allow for a direct response to be made, or at least give time to defenders to respond to a Beta attack. I don't know if that's the case, but that looks a lot like that. I imagine that's what that is. But I think we're gonna go ahead and end here. This is a good place for us to stop. That was fun. Okay, I see why you guys are talking so much about this one. This is genuinely just an enjoyable experience in every sense of the way. It really is just, it's so wacky. I wonder if this one's actually gonna get serious in the future. I'm guessing it will, but like, it's almost hard to imagine that because everyone's been so like fun and engaging and just interesting in so many ways. So I'm really interested to see how this all plays out. Beautiful character designs though, very fun. I'm also really loving just learning about the European front because it is very, like, it's been very mysterious but referenced, and so it's always great to see the world building that's happening outside of Japan and the main focus of the Muv-Luv series. So brilliant, just like bravo. But anyway, I thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you spending the time. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Thank you to my Patreon supporters who are like saints on earth, who are just decided to help this channel grow ever more. So thank you so much for that. I look forward to communicating with you guys this week, as I should be doing a Patreon cast within the next like 8 days. We also are going to be discussing the new series that are coming out this week on Wednesday and Friday, because we had 2 series wrap at the exact same time, so that'll be fun. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm excited to show some new stuff coming up on the channel in the very near future, so I hope you're ready for that. But thank you so much. I appreciate every second of time I get to spend with you and to share these wonderful experiences and stories. I hope you enjoy yourselves. You're looking forward to more Muv-Luv content in the future, and to tell you, there, I'm stumbling over my own words, but thank you so much. And until next video watching me, I will see you next. I'll see you there.